Whatever you're okay.
All right. I'm good with them.
So, we only had 2 ballots that would be eligible for the hearing. One was the voter who was not registered to vote in Washington County, and the second one was the absentee one, where they had requested an absentee, it was canvass, and then they voted in person. They did receive letters in the mail, and then, of course, they received notice on the day of. So. let's
Cool.
see.
Nobody is here yet.
No.
Yeah.
And then we can go ahead and start, if it's okay, canvassing the 15
Sure.
of these that we do that are eligible to be counted. One was there were 5 who,
We just approved the minutes, so.
Yes.
We
okay, I got it. One.
don't have a leader today.
We
don't.
I'll of what you did.
One came back and showed their ID,
Oh, good.
so. If you will take them out, then I'll. Yep.
Came back.
Oregon.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know. It was fun to be out there. I didn't have enough time. Added on 1 extra day and that was it. Yeah, it was fun. They had gotten a bunch of rain, so me and my buddy who lives out there drove down the Columbia River Gorge and waterfalls flowing. Did a hike. It was beautiful.
I've heard that's pretty.
Oh, it's a very pretty area. I for sure see the deal. Yeah. Have you been back anytime in the last 10 years or so,
Oh,
Tom?
they
No.
must have
Leave it in
returned,
here.
yeah.
Neat.
It's hard to get out there,
Yeah.
even by plane. I mean, the connection, it's a whole day deal, you know?
When I go west, I drive, because I enjoy that.
Mhm.
Southwest. Generally don't get much further than, north of San Francisco, up to the wine country.
Yeah. What does that take you? 30 hours or something?
Oh, I've never figured it on hours. I just cut it into, drive from here to here.
Days, yeah.
And my first day's drive, if I can arrange everything, is I'll leave mid-afternoon, like on a Friday, finish up work. So I can drive through Oklahoma and the Texas Panhandle and the eastern part of New Mexico all in one day and, into the night. I don't have to look at it.
Oh,
Because it's boring drive.
That's fair.
That's not the prettiest part of the world.
No, it's like 12 or 13 to Albuquerque. So you're driving early into the morning then.
I usually stop at Santa Rosa, which is this side of Albuquerque.
Mhm.
I like to see Albuquerque in the daytime. Pretty handy.
Yeah, it is.
I took my son out west in 2019. He'd never been to California. And
Yeah.
on the way back, I was driving, had to drive through the Panhandle in the daytime. And he was sleeping in the seat next to me, and I poked him and woke him up and go, "We're off to the north." And he said, "Which way is north?" I said, "Left." And he did. "There's nothing there." I said, "Now look to the south, look to the other way." He goes, "There's nothing there." I said, "See all of this? This is why people used to believe the world was flat."
I had that thought one time, where I was standing in the airport at Harlingen, Texas, looking out across the runways and everything, and there's nothing forever.
Right.
And I said, it's no wonder the big, this is where they were standing, it's no wonder they're talking.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, people talk about Kansas, but Kansas has more trees than the Panhandle. It breaks it up a little bit.
I was the one that, got me with the cornfields. I mean, you're driving on a straight road that goes forever, and you got
Yeah.
a cornfield up so high you can't see anything.
It's literally it, yeah.
You can't.
I mean, flat corn, yeah, straight highway.
That's where I got my last, speeding ticket.
Well,
They didn't tell me that well, I guess there was a sign, but I didn't know that the speed limit had dropped to 65 to 55. Nobody behind me, nobody in front of me, and this
Yes, ma'am.
patrolman comes over with the rise, you know, in front of me, and, throws the blue lights on.
man, that sucks.
I sent a rental car. And so after he's checked my license, what about checked it, he came back. You know, that, this car is not registered under that tag that's on it. I think, I don't know, it belongs to Hertz.
Wow.
It was an interesting stop. I got to sit in the right-hand side of the police car and look at all the toys that they had.
Oh, yeah, interesting. Doesn't match the tags. Shoddy operation. They're probably just trying to slap them on vehicles and get them out.
He finally said, well, I don't think you've stolen that car. But I'm gonna have to give you a ticket.
Oh, man. Could have been worse.
Yeah.
Does, Stacy Ryburn leaving change your assignment at all?
It has already, I mean, that's the 5 hour stable city council meeting last week.
Oh, man, you're covering the city now too?
We all fill in, according to what else is going on and who's doing other things. So they get somebody.
Are they gonna get somebody?
That's
TBD.
what they say. And they've advertised for the positions.
Got it.
I mean, I don't want it myself. I've done that. I don't care.
You've done the covered the city before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I covered the city as they were back in the board of directors.
Oh, wow, a long time ago.
If you've been here long enough to remember the incinerator.
No, that's for me. Yeah, I don't remember any of that.
It must have been something pretty interesting since you remember it so well.
The city had proposed and spent a lot of money on getting an incinerator that was gonna burn garbage and generate electricity.
Oh, fascinating.
And people in the community decided they didn't want that, pollution and various and sundry other things. So they got up a petition.
Sure.
To, say, yes or no, we're gonna build it, we're not gonna build it, and it failed.
Wow.
And then shortly after that, they started a drive to change the form of government from the city manager form, which is what it was.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
then we got mayor, council. Of course, the people who pushed all that didn't get what they wanted because the first mayor was Fred Hammond. He was not their friend.
Oh, interesting. When was that? 90s?
Early 90s. Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't been here that long.
Gotta have been before the Tawny Town landfill, so trash was an issue or something?
Well, no, the landfill's been there a long, long time, but Fayetteville, the people in charge of the city at that time were thinking this would be a way to, keep trash out of the landfill.
Uh-huh.
And it had been done a few other places around the country. So they spent money on the incinerator itself. I don't remember how much. That was just money down the drain.
Oh,
801.
fascinating.
Okay, and 7069.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you have been covering a long time.
Tom, you want a copy?
I do, yes. And the incinerator case turned into a landmark Arkansas Freedom of Information Act case.
Oh,
And Mark V. Fayetteville.
got it, okay.
They
I'm sure I've read it there.
with the Springfield paper at the time.
What's the issue, the city not producing that? Why not producing?
They had hired an outside attorney. And
Yeah.
their claim was,
That was the case.
it was, it's the attorney, it's their protected work product and you can't
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah,
And it went all the way to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said, no, you're wrong. Get it up.
that was that case.
Yeah.
Got it.
And I spent days on days. City admin going through boxes of legal files.
Oh, that's bad.
Cause I'm.
Oh, I
I'm
bet.
sure you know how thrilling that was.
Oh, I know how thrilling that was.
I can buy them.
Yeah.
15 ballots, you said.
Yeah, 15.
Yeah, okay.
7,054 to 7,061.
%. Look in terms of normal runoff election.
It's the highest we've ever had. We had a little over 10% one year. But this 16% definitely represents the highest we've had. And also, I think the highest we've had for an early vote for a runoff election as well.
You know when that 10% might have been.
I can email it to you because someone requested that information from me previously, and so I have it in an email somewhere. I almost feel like it was Stacy that asked that information.
Can you forward me that email too?
Mhm.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Haven't we had single digits before?
We have the normal turnout is 6 to 7%.
I thought.
Yes, we had one year where it was 10%, but I feel like when I looked at that election, it was a smaller number of registered voters, which sometimes will equate into a little bit higher percentage of voter turnout. So when you look at this one, when you had over 60,000 registered voters,
Yeah.
a 16% is actually
Pretty good.
a pretty good set of numbers. So yeah,
Probably ought to forward that to all three of them.
okay,
Yeah.
I will. Then, that would conclude the provisional ballot canvassing and tabulation. And obviously it didn't change the outcome of any of the races. So I do have certificates for the commission to sign. These are the overall numbers, and then these are the individual certificate documents for the winning candidates. And there's 2 of each. There's Stacy. These are the individual certificates, that will, be sent to, the candidates for them to file. When they are one, they will actually pick that up in the county clerk's office, because that has to be sent to the Secretary of State's office for mayors, in order to get the documents that they need. The other ones we will send to, the city clerks.
Then for in the mayoral contest
Mhm.
specifically, it just math in my head, which is not my best thing. It appears that both of the candidates exceeded what you would have considered a normal turnout.
Yeah, definitely. But we haven't had a city mayor runoff
in
several years, yeah. He had in previous years when he was in a more than two-way race, it was won outright, and so we didn't have to go to a mayor's runoff.
Can you get me the results for his first election when he and
Mhm.
Dan Cootie were in the
Yeah.
runoff?
I should be able to, yeah. No, but I can get this for you.
I would think as a matter of, standard operating procedures, where we get to the press, you know, we share it. with the-
Yes, I can.
We might just chunk it, but what the,
And then item number 5 is the 2025 election legislation. We kind of have tentatively set a meeting for the 19th. Or we have set a meeting for the 19th to discuss in greater detail the legislation at 9 o'clock. And we listened to the SBEC meeting yesterday where they briefly talked about the legislation that they would be
anything interesting
proposing.
from that?
Yeah, a couple of things. One, we were not drawn for the audit, so that's helpful.
What a pity.
Well, it actually was a relief because we found out yesterday that they're gonna have us move at the end of the month. Which means that if we were
Oh,
going to
gosh.
be, yes, if we were going to be audited, we would have had to be very detailed in what did we do with those ballots? Where did they go? Because we didn't want to be shifting them around. So that kind of makes that move a little bit simpler for us. But a couple of the bills that they talked about was for assisting voters. Right now, anyone who comes in to assist just fills out a little card saying that they're assisting that voter. They would ask that those individuals, have to show ID in order to assist a voter at the polls.
So what would that mean? That we would have to write down their name or something?
Or we already have to do that. That already happens, but in addition, the voter would, or the assister would be required to show ID to the poll worker. So
What would they have to verify on that? Did they get into that or what's the
they
purpose
didn't,
of
they
it?
just briefly touched on it. The only one thing I can see that would need to be discussed, and I don't know how they're planning on proposing it, is when you have minors who might come in to assist. Because you
Sure.
do see a lot of individuals who are English as their second language.
Sure,
Their children may come in to assist them, or for any other reason,
sure.
would a minor always have an ID? I don't
Yeah, of
know.
course, yeah,
So,
of course.
That would be one thing.
You know,
Why are they saying that they need an ID from the assistant?
I don't know.
Yeah.
This was just
Where's it
briefly,
coming from?
yeah,
That's the
I
question.
don't know, what it would, why, so yeah.
As long as you have the assistor's information, you know, they can prove that that's who it is. I mean,
yeah,
what's the potential harm or wrong or, you know, illegal something that could occur if someone is assisting someone who's voting?
So, and I think part of it,
question.
because we are in Washington County, maybe it's a little different than maybe in other counties, but the potential is if someone is assisting someone, are they telling them how to vote? Are they allowing them to vote their own, we don't know,
But
there's no way
It's
to know.
limited to, state law limits it to 6 people
six.
that you can assist,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
So it's not like you can be in there all day assisting
No.
hundreds of people.
No.
It's literally 6 people.
Right. So I don't know the reason behind the request, I just know that that was
How
something that
many
was mentioned.
people generally, what percentage of the voting population gets assisted like that?
I don't
you know
know, we've never counted the cards, I mean, we can.
We get cards though.
We
We have
do.
cards.
We have a stack of cards,
Mhm.
but we could count them.
We
and see
do,
what the
we could look
percentage
at that,
Are
yeah.
they in 50 different places or are they all in one location?
The card,
Yeah, I'm just curious
Oh,
how much work,
well,
would be to count.
we would only have this year's,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, sure.
but, we keep them by site.
Yeah,
And then we keep them in a box that has the assisted voters, the spoiled ballots, the
Got it.
address changes, so we do.
within each site's
Mhm.
data.
Mhm,
Okay.
yeah, we do,
But we haven't recorded them anywhere where you could just pull them up electronically.
no, but we could look at that, so yeah.
yeah, I would be curious as well, just out of curiosity. How many people even are there who are being assisted?
Yeah.
For sure, we have folks who are assisted by their kids or somebody else who, English might not be their first language. For sure, that's it. Or
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
people who have disabilities.
Yeah.
That for sure happens.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody
When
has
I
our
went to
time.
early vote, there were at least 3 people in wheelchairs who had someone pushing them.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
They
exactly.
have to fill out a card and show an ID.
Mhm. They all have to fill out a card.
I
So,
think
yeah.
it'd be, I don't know, it might be better to have that information if we don't have it identified as to whether it's just a wheelchair assist or, if we needed that kind of information. But I can't imagine that assisting voters would be a very high percentage.
No, it's not.
It's not, but I do know that we get stacks of cards,
Yeah.
and I do know we do the cards in 2 different ways. One, we may not always recognize when the person's being assisted at the check-in.
Mhm.
And so we have assisted cards when the voter is being checked in, but our express vote operators keep assisted voters cards. Because if they see 2 individuals in a booth together,
Mhm.
then we have to assume that they're assisting one
Like
another.
I mean, this could get absurd. I'm curious as well what the issue is here. I took my daughter with me to vote, Is she gonna have to, are they gonna have to? No, but I mean, who knows how this law is gonna be drafted, Two people at the same express vote have to fill out a form or
Well,
something
this
like
would-
that, right?
Well, this would
How do
be.
you know she's not helping me? I mean,
I can see.
I'm just
where-
saying, right?
I'm pretty sure she wouldn't qualify.
I don't know. I don't know, Jim, minors assisting,
I know.
how much of a minor do they have to be, right? Who's
Yeah.
gonna make the judgment call? Is the poll worker gonna have to make the judgment call, whether to
So-
require that minor helping somebody vote,
Mhm.
fill out a card and show ID,
Right.
right?
I just don't want us to have, I just don't want the legislature to have knee-jerk reactions, to add layers of things that we have to do unless it brings value, unless it is worthwhile.
Right, is there,
Well said.
is there a reason? The other one is, at nursing homes. When someone is assisting, filling out, it would require 2 people to assist someone to fill out their
I don't have a
ballot,
problem with
so,
that.
um,
I don't think, just right on the surface, nursing homes sort of stand on their own because of the people that are voting there and the fact that they probably need help with most things. We run into that just trying to read their names sometimes.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
for sure, the names, yeah.
yeah. So that would be one, and then, it would be an extension of the complaint period, kind of. Right now, the complaint period fluctuates based on when a county certifies. Because it's like, for instance, tomorrow would be the deadline for us to certify, but we're certifying today, which would set what a complaint period would be based on today's date. They would want to set it at, it's automatically 10 days or 45 days or whatever it
Oh.
is, regardless of when you certify. So that would be kind of like a cleanup, like
Got it.
making it more,
Got
but those were just some that they briefly mentioned.
Are there
in the meeting
any-
Yesterday.
Assisted voter forms and et cetera, that, are they just informational for us, or is there anything that form could cause, that might make it cause the vote, the voters' paperwork to be wrong or the vote to be not counted?
So it would not, in regards to that, it would be more if we caught someone assisting more than 6 people.
So that's the-
Because, right, because they fill out
Because
the
that's,
forms.
that's the law.
Right, right. So, yeah,
So you do look at them for that purpose.
right, and it helps us make sure that, especially like during the early vote, you know, the poll workers get used to seeing who's coming in. And if someone is coming in to assist
So
again
let me
and
ask you,
again
let
and
me
again.
ask you this, we've got how many polling places?
41 on election day.
And we keep that data separate, how do we know if someone hasn't assisted more than 6 people somewhere else in the county? at all?
Right, we wouldn't know that until we look at the information.
Yeah, so if we don't accumulate that information, we can't compare to that.
Right. And so that may be something that we need to look at.
I
what we've
I would
done.
like to not make extra work for no purpose, unless I'm just saying, unless there's a demonstrated reason and we have some suspicion, 10 polling places had someone come in and we had to turn them away because they were with 6 people. It's just very speculative and the numbers are piddly. I mean, compared to the number
I
of
think,
voters.
I think they are too, but
You know what I mean?
I was only looking at, for the idea that we are doing everything we can to follow the regulations that are legal.
I feel like we're making them fill out the card is all we have to do, right?
Right, and they are, and that,
I
it
just
can be something that we can look at though, and like Max says, if we get suspicion that someone is bringing in a group, and really what it helps to is you see it when someone brings a busload of individuals
Sure.
come.
Sure.
Like, so for instance, Butterfield,
Yeah,
they come and they bring a bus, and this prevents the bus driver basically from assisting the 50 people.
Yep.
That
Yeah.
they drove there.
for
Um,
whatever reason.
For whatever reason, you know, and so it kind of, that's definitely when you're looking, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, this person has brought 50 people in with them. And we're not gonna allow them to assist.
So we're basically just saying that the obvious intent of the law is to prevent those types of things from happening at a polling place with a certain specific set of voters or something like that.
And we get the question for when we're looking for outside groups are looking to provide translators.
Mhm.
We make it very clear, you're providing translators, those translators can only assist 6 people. And we know the sites that they're at, and then they know the rules, and we know the rules to watch that as well.
I mean, this is a historical law, right?
Yeah.
This is designed to prevent the types of things that happened in elections, centuries and decades ago with undue influence and vote buying and that sort of thing, right? I mean, that's what it's designed to prevent.
I'm sitting here wondering why is 6 the magic number? Why isn't it 3 or why isn't it 33?
Yeah.
It used to be
That's a good
0.
question,
There didn't used to be, but I was after. And we've not had this law that long. I feel like we've only had it for 10 years,
Mm.
maybe, because it wasn't the law when I first started.
Huh,
And it became a law. Sometimes we get laws based on other states.
mhm.
And I believe this law was passed after one of the presidential elections in Florida, where they were bringing in busloads of people, and those individuals were assisting every single person that they brought in. And so this was, I feel like, had been a reaction to something that had happened in another state when this was
Mhm.
passed several years
Yeah,
ago.
I don't know what's the right way to do it, but it seemed like, voters being assisted to vote is more about the needs of the voter than it should be about who's assisting.
Mhm.
But maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, no, I think that's correct. I agree. People have a need for assistance in various ways, physical, language barrier, various reasons. I agree.
Anyway,
Yeah.
okay, I'll stop asking questions.
So, but that will be one, obviously when it's filed, there'll be more. to it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
the ones that we have talked about, signs, chain of custody, those types of things. I've looked back for school elections. So next year is an odd year election, which means that our counties where we share school districts, so the voters in Springdale,
Mhm.
we live in Benton County. That becomes our election to program versus Benton County's election to program. And Siloam Springs is the
Yeah.
same thing. I think if we're looking at just having 2 elections a year, that we may want to look to see that even in odd years, each county is responsible for their portion of their school district that's in there. So for instance, if the city of Springdale were to call a special election, Benton County would handle their portion of the city of Springdale,
Mhm.
and we would handle our portion of the city of Springdale. But for a school election, we're required to handle both Benton and Washington County's portion of the election, which means we have to get from Benton County the names of the registered voters and get a list of those. And we can't really do that electronically because our poll books don't sync with another county's.
Oh,
So it becomes kind of a headache when you've
Yeah.
got bigger school districts that bleed into 2 counties. And so I don't know, we might get pushback from smaller counties because then the school districts are having to pay 2 counties for building an election. But I just feel like for consistency for voters,
sure.
for prepping elections, this would be something I would think could be something looked at.
Did that get just left out when they changed the school elections?
Well, I think that was one of the things that they talked about. But I think that smaller counties and smaller school districts were seeing it as, oh, well, now the school district's gonna get a bill from 2 different counties.
Yeah, but it should be for a lesser amount for each than it would be
It should be.
to
Oh,
one.
yeah.
It should be, I agree, it should be consistent with municipal elections
Mhm.
and other
Right,
districts, right?
yeah,
But there is some overlapping things, work that you have to both do, right?
mhm, yeah.
In your individual counties,
Mhm.
of the notification, I don't know.
Yeah, we have to, so for instance, with the city of Springdale, if they're holding an election, they give the information to one county clerk and the other county clerk shares it with the other one. But they prep their own set of ballots, they prep their own poll books. In school districts, we prep everything and then we man the polling place in Benton
In
County.
Benton County, we do it.
Mhm. And we have to get basically a paper poll book or something along those lines
their portion.
for their portion of the voters. And then for early vote, it becomes complicated because where do those voters early vote at? Because the election is,
You still have to have their,
well, they have to early vote in Washington County. So.
They're not used to doing that for any other
Exactly,
election.
so
They're
it
in Benton County.
becomes, and then what they remember in,
That's confusing. If
next
you're a
year-
Benton County voter,
Mhm.
that's definitely
Well,
confusing.
and then the next year, when you go to vote, you remember that you got to vote at Elmdale, let's say.
Yeah, of
So
course.
you show up to vote
Of
at Elmdale,
course. Yeah,
but you're actually supposed to be in Benton County.
yeah, of course.
So I just,
No consistency for those
Yeah.
voters.
if we're going to do the 2-year elections, I feel like cleaning up some of the school stuff
Mhm,
between counties might be worth pursuing.
mhm.
It's, for us in Washington County is, do we only have this problem, with Benton County, no other adjoining counties?
We don't have any other adjoining counties. Now, they have to do the same thing for Siloam Springs because a tiny portion of Siloam Springs School District is in Washington County.
Yeah.
But there are some counties where the school district is in 3 counties.
Really?
So it can become quite complicated, but also then you run the risk too that, well, what if one county did notify the other county? How do I get the names? How do I get the ballots there? It becomes,
Sure,
It
where's
becomes
the
a lot
polling
more.
location, who's the
Exactly.
contact person, how do I get the key, all for a place that you never work at?
right, yeah, so.
What about internet, all those things,
Mhm,
you're not used to working in Benton County,
right,
of course,
so,
I mean, that makes sense to me.
So let me go back. Is the biggest problem with the fact that, there's no electronic version of the voters
mhm,
that we can access?
yeah, that does become
That's
a
the
problem.
kind of the major,
Mhm.
and why can't that be fixed?
So, well, I don't know, and that would be something to pursue with ES&S. Because we don't have access through Connect to their list of voters and getting them added to ours, I don't know what that would take. It also presents a different problem too with the school elections in regards to the poll books, where you have school districts that, don't have contested races, so they do early and absentee voting only. But now the poll books can't be set up to prevent those voters from voting on election day. And so there's that issue. There's quite
Why
a
would,
bit of,
why couldn't you add, Benton County poll books at the voting site, and when someone comes in from Benton County, you look them up on that?
so Benton County might also be having other school elections. So I don't know how that would work, so if they're having a school election in Rogers, their poll books, I don't know, how are their poll books
Is
working
that
with the
Is
voters?
that a reasonable other option to look
I
at?
don't know, it definitely is, but it's definitely something we wanted to talk about, because I know Kim and I every year
I mean,
sit and kind
It
of
just
figure
seems
out the best.
difficult, because that could be a solution for the poll books piece.
Mhm.
But even if we did that, it's the confusion for the voters, having to vote in a different county. And for us having to work in a different county,
Mhm.
different location, different,
Yep.
all of those things.
Why couldn't, you said the early vote, they'd have to come to Washington County to do the early, why is that? Why couldn't we, if we can have a polling place open during the vote, the election day, why couldn't we have something open up there during the
Early
early
vote.
vote?
And that's something definitely we could look at. I mean, it would be a cost.
In
For
Benton
us
County.
in Benton County.
It'd probably be a
Traditionally,
small number of voters.
it would be, we did early voting for the first time off-site in 2023, only because we had several sites open. In Springdale, we had, 468 people vote, but they also had, I feel like they had a special election as well. The city of Springdale had a special election. And so that's why they didn't show up for the school election. They showed up because of the special election. And, so that becomes an issue too. In the previous years, when school elections were held independently, you only had that portion to think about. But now you can have special elections with the school election. So that adds a whole another layer of complication.
Oh, I remember all that now.
Yeah, so I've got school elections have been on my
Yep.
radar of
Sure.
trying to fix. And technically May now is not just for school elections, it's for any special election.
Yep.
So it complicates.
Well, when you have to treat the school elections differently than other elections happening at the same time.
that
That's-
becomes an issue.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So-
I mean, the more complexity there is with
Mhm.
elections, with anything, right? The more changes there are from
Yeah.
election to election, the more opportunity for error.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean,
So-
I think that makes sense, to try to change that. I don't know. I don't know what you want to do or. how
I
you
don't
wanna go
know,
about
I'll
it,
have
or-
to, I need to sit down and look at the different portions of the law where that's at and kind of visit with the SBEC even,
Mhm.
because it will be pretty complicated to change, I think, and to get people to understand why we're requesting the change for counties that are smaller and have smaller school districts. For us, it's a much bigger
There's
problem.
gotta be other counties and commissions
Pulaski
who,
County would be the other one.
this one really affects.
Yeah.
And who would be on board
Mhm.
for changing it, right?
Yeah, I would think Benton County would, Pulaski County would,
Mhm.
because Pulaski County has school districts, I believe, that go into other counties as well. And then it just becomes,
Well, I'm sure that when you talk to ES&S, I bet they've had this question before somewhere.
well, so 2023 was kind of the first year that we had special elections really so it's relatively new.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so, with special elections, so, yeah.
Well, whatever we can do to help, but I just think there's gonna, based on what you're telling us, there's gonna, if no other changes are made to make it simpler, there's gonna have to be coordination among
Oh,
counties,
yes,
ES&S.
Yeah.
SBEC and everybody.
Yeah,
and we were fortunate in the fact that in 2023, the city of Springdale called a special election at the same time as the school election. So we just programmed our own portions of it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I don't think that will be the case for next year. And next year, the city of, or Springdale School District will have an at-large position. So that impacts it as well.
Oh, yeah,
So,
for
yeah,
sure.
so,
Well, bring it up to the SBC,
okay.
see what you want to do to move forward.
Yeah. And then early vote, there was a bill that tried to be passed where it required early vote days to match across the board, to match the county clerks. And it got quite a bit of traction, but ultimately it passed in the sense that, well, try your very best to make
Oh,
sure
yeah.
that days and hours match. But if it is brought back up, and there's a possibility that it may be brought back up, that becomes complicated for us because we have sites that need to close early. And like Elmdale,
Sure.
Town, and so it would limit some of our early vote locations due to having to match exactly the hours. So I just want to keep that on our radar.
May or may not come back. up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's a possibility that it will. So. But that's all I have for us right now. I know that.
So you said that, the SBC, discussion,
This one
Yeah.
is the SBEC one.
okay. Did they talk any about, electioneering or anything? Did they bring it up? Good.
No,
Okay.
no, that was not part of any of their discussion.
Does anybody, is it on their radar, this business of two people bringing the,
No,
not on the radar? Needs to be.
it's not. Now, a bill was filed yesterday to allow any voter over the age of 65 to request an absentee ballot with no excuse. So that was filed yesterday, so
Really?
that is a new bill that was filed,
What was
so.
the purpose of that?
What presumes physical
Yeah. we
Yeah, I
just-
can hardly get around anymore.
disability issues. I mean, I like it in the sense that, yeah, sure, that makes sense to me. I don't like it in the sense of the absentee voting process in Arkansas is so
It is
riddled with pitfalls that, there will be a number of those folks who try to vote absentee and then,
and they'll mess up somehow, or,
exactly, and then we don't count their
and
ballots.
then and it's cumbersome for us to deal with.
Yeah, for sure. I encourage everybody to vote early, or I mean, on election day,
On
whatever.
person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not absentee. I discourage absentee voting.
So, but that's kind of what I have. I'll have more.
Right now, the excuse for absentee voting has more to do with physical ability
Mhm.
and that type of thing. It's not necessarily age.
Yeah, it's definitely just a physical limitation.
I
So,
think
yeah.
that's the camel under the the camel's nose under the tent, maybe. I don't know. I think I'll leave that one alone.
Yeah, fair.
But I'll have more detail for us on the 19th.
Sounds good. Well, anything else, I think we'd be open to. Think of anything else?
And then the only other thing I have for us today is we are able to get the Shred It company to come in and destroy the ballots and stuff from 2022. So I just would need your signatures. And I went ahead and included 2020, 2019, those previous years, because I think when we get everything moved out of here, there may be some additional things that we've held on to that we can go ahead and.
So as you're moving, you can,
We can, I'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, why did I keep this, election materials that allow us to get rid of anything else.
all right, so we've got a meeting on the 19th
Yes.
at 9 o'clock here,
Mhm.
and then January 1st,
Yes.
we haven't set a date for that.
We have not, your parties will meet and reappoint, I'm assuming either in December or January.
Yeah, it's January for us.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then after that, we can, have a meeting, and it may be that we're meeting on the building.
Oh, yeah, moving the building. Where is it now?
So
Right
it's
over
just right
Okay,
over
right
there.
over there. Okay.
Yeah.
It's on this end of where, no, it's right over there.
Oh, yeah, I
It's on
know.
this end of the parking lot.
Got it.
The sign
Yeah.
shop.
Got it. Okay. I'll look at it when I leave. How do you guys feel about it? How does it look over there inside?
So right now, it doesn't look like
It's not very
anything,
pretty inside right now.
But-
It will be.
but it will
Oh,
be.
yeah?
So they're gonna be working on it. We're gonna kind of move in stages. We're gonna move out of this office into those offices and put the bulk of our stuff in the storage area, which will be the secure area. Then they'll finish the walls and everything on that big interior space.
Okay.
Then we'll be able to move all of that out of the storage area, and they're gonna build shelves and everything
In the
for us.
storage area like they
in the-
have over here.
Mhm,
Yeah.
yes,
I'm gonna
and-
ask about that.
and all of that, and I do have money, because one of the things, if we're going to try and train and canvas and, hold our election meetings there and election night there, we don't have tables and chairs.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I do have money left in our budget from this year to be able to purchase enough tables and chairs for us. Ultimately, I think I need 20 training tables if I'm doing
Yeah.
a lot of training, but next year will be a much smaller year, so I have enough money, I believe, to get 10 of those tables, that kind of will fold flat for storage,
Yeah.
and
Make sure they're
And
good
on
enough. Some of
wheels.
those are janky. You know what I mean? I have some that have
Yeah.
warped.
so we're gonna look at
Almost
U-line, so
Cool.
is where we're looking, and then chairs. We will need,
Oh, yeah, sure.
chairs, since we are used to borrowing from the sheriff's office,
Yeah.
we'll kind of need our own stuff
Definitely.
now,
That's
so.
steal from the sheriff's office.
Yeah, over there.
Yeah.
Let
yeah,
Anthony know we're
exactly.
wheeling stuff over there. Don't mind us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so,
So,
Cool.
so you're gonna be able to you've got two, it's this way, you've got two outside doors. One of them is a little bit smaller or
Mhm.
narrower, maybe lower ceiling because anyway, open warehouse type area.
Mhm.
And that's gonna be your secure area to lock things up. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, where he's talking about the smaller bay.
yes, the
Yeah.
smaller bay door, yeah, and it
So
runs
it-
the whole length of the building.
So do that, the larger bay area is where you're gonna do training
Mhm.
and that type of thing, you're gonna leave it basically open
Mhm.
all the way through?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so everything, all the storage things are gonna occur in that one area,
Mhm.
and we have room in there to do it.
Way more room than we've ever had. So, and
I like
the
that.
idea
Yeah, that's
of them building up shelves will mean like election night, instead of them stacking up the ballot boxes,
Yeah,
they'll have homes to go in.
So they won't have to bring them in, stack them up, and
No.
then move them again.
Yep, they'll be able to, our idea would be to open up the small bay door, the team unload the ballot boxes in there, and then there's a door that comes into the larger room, would be able to bring us the bags we need.
Yeah,
And so it will make, the election process smoother for us,
Good.
definitely. So, yeah.
that's great. It sounds like you have done this, but I would encourage you guys to really think through every piece of it and try to make it as ideal as possible.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this is the shot, right? Moving into a new location
Right.
to get it organized like we're talking about, but anything else you need to do that, I would say do it, or
Yeah.
ask us if you need permission to do it, but go ahead and just,
where
use
are
the
we gonna
budget.
have our meetings over
So we'll have our meetings in the big
in the big?
room.
All the time?
Mhm, yeah, and the idea, the tables we're kind of looking at, we'll be able to set them up kind of in a conference table
Sure.
way.
Got
They'll
it in U shape.
Exactly, they'll stay that way for the biggest majority of the time, but when we're doing training, then we would be able to set them up like how we have training over at the sheriff's office, so yeah.
Cool,
Okay, sounds
Yeah.
good.
yeah,
Are you ready to close this meeting?
yeah, I'm done. Yeah, nothing else.
In the absence of the